My name is Joshua from Banks Arcade, and our new EP, A Muse, is coming out on the 28th, and we're here today with Heavy Radio.
Beautiful, Josh. Thanks for joining us today, bro.
Thanks for having me on here. Good to talk to you.
Always a pleasure, mate. Now, you've actually just made me pick up on something when you're introducing the EP there. Like, we should make it clear that it is A Muse, not a Muse. Because the way you said it then, it sort of could have been AMMUSE. So,
Yeah, yeah,
two separate words, A Muse, correct?
yeah, that's correct.
Wait, and that is going to be your second EP of 2024, mate, coming out on June the 28th. So, you're putting out a lot of material, bro. You're putting out pretty often. So, do you find it hard to get as excited with everything still coming out so regularly?
I think the excitement for me, the most excitement is when I'm right at the start of writing the songs and it's all happening. And when I write a song that I love, I'll pretty much be listening to that song every day. And I'm like, man, I'm so hyped on this. And then by the time it goes through all the process and all the finicky details, you kind of get over it a little bit. So I think that yeah, I am more so of the mindset that you just have to keep on going and keep trying to be as present and put out as much content as possible, even if you've sort of fallen out of love with it. So it's always up and down for me. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm just like, all right, let's get on with it.
I actually appreciate your honesty there, mate. So many people just put on their happy face and say, yeah, it's great, but it's not an easy process, like you've done your hard work recording it and getting it out, getting it done. But then there's another chapter starts and it can get a bit tiresome.
Yeah, exactly. And that doesn't take away from, I mean, I think that the other side is that the excitement starts once you start hearing the feedback from people. And once it starts to roll, then you're like, oh man, this actually is pretty cool. But once you've done it a few times and once you've put it out there, I think that it is actually beneficial to separate yourself from what you've done so that you don't want to build it up too much. Just put it out there and let go. You've done your job now, and that's how I see it.
Oh, now the EP follows on from Death 2, which came out earlier this year. So is it a continuation of what you started there, or is it a new chapter?
Yeah, so it is a continuation, and it's kind of two sides of the same coin. Um, you put the two together, Death to a Muse. It's a bit of a play on words, and kind of they do feed off of each other. And stylistically, they're very different. I think as a band on our first full length that we put out, Future Lovers, there was just so much different stuff going on, and we really wanted to lean into some of those different stylings and have one holistic project over here that has one sound and another one over here that has another sound, and I think that we've achieved that with the two, but they are still meant to go hand in hand.
Yeah. The press release actually says that the songs evolved from the darker sides explored on Death 2. So what does it mean by that?
So I think it didn't necessarily evolve from the darker sides, but more so like it moved on from that. So Death 2 was really focused on all the chaotic and dark and more abstract sides of the band. Whereas I think that these songs, even though they're not necessarily happy songs, but they approach it from a different light. And there's a little I think that there's more singing and catchy hooks and more traditional song structures, and there's still a little bit of the quirkiness that our band always brings, but yeah, I think that it's a lot more palatable in some respects.
Yeah. How does it go now then fitting those two different sort of styles in live? Like you got the contrasting light and shade, as you say. So do you have to sort of weave the dynamics in to play them live?
Well, we've been lucky enough to tour with a lot of different bands from different styles. And, we did a massive tour in New Zealand with a band called Highly Suspect, they were playing rock shows over here to arenas. And for us, we kind of will tailor a set to be like, okay, these are the types of fans that are going to be here. They'll probably like this side of the band more. So we make a set. And then right after that tour, we went on tour with Northlane. And when we're on a Northlane tour, we're kind of going to lean into more of this stuff. And then on a headline tour, we bring it all together. So I feel like it does put us in a good position to be able to play with different bands and kind of create a tailor-made set for whoever we're playing with.
Very smart, bro. Now, one of the things I love about EPs is that there's not many songs on them. So when I speak to someone like yourself, we can run through them all and get a bit more information about them. So I just want to run through them one at a time, and then you tell us your version of them and what they mean to you and what they mean to the album. So we'll start off with Alive.
So Alive was written during the lockdown period with me and James. We were getting together and writing a lot together for the first time. really in the band's history. And I just recorded a I was like, oh, I kind of want to make a song with this riff, and I literally was recording. I was playing it, and I was singing, and I sang like about the whole first minute and a half of the song, and he just had his phone out recording, and I was like, did you get that? And he had it, and then we kind of just built the whole song around that, and I feel like it really set the tone for where we were going with that more rocky sound, still bringing in the hip hop elements and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a cool moment to be able to make that one, and I'd say that's probably my favorite song on the record.
I actually like to too, like the way it starts. Like it's very sort of it's a bit slower and a bit more measured, you know, a bit calmer, and then it just goes bang, and it's a perfect way to start the album.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Throws you into it well.
Well, you threw me completely off as I'm listening. I'm thinking, geez, what are they going to put me into here? And it keeps like,
Yeah,
it's all right.
well, I think that our music probably has that effect on a lot of people, and like in certain moments, it's like we do try to set a tone and a rhythm, and then switch that rhythm up, and I feel like that's always good. Creates a bit of diversity in the music.
All right, we'll move on to Heartstop, which is the second one.
Yeah, so Heartstop, like some of these songs on this record are kind of like breakup songs. I was going through a bit of a period, and I we played our first ever big festival over in New Zealand. This was a few years ago now, probably like 4 years ago. And we had this opportunity, and it was like this big moment, and everyone was really happy about it. But I was going through this breakup, and I was in a super chaotic headspace, and I just wasn't enjoying being there, even though it was meant to be really fun. There was a bit of dissonance. And I kind of had a moment where I was just like, forget this. I'm just going to go up there and do what I love, which is playing music, and was able to find a little bit of peace in doing that. And I think that's what Heartstop is about. Many people experience rough times, and when you have that moment where you're like, I'm not gonna wallow on this anymore. I'm just gonna do what I love and forget about all the noise, and just go have a little party. And that's what Heartstop is.
Sweet. Now, your next one is Faded AF, and I spent about 5 minutes trying to figure anything out of AF that I could that wasn't as fuck, and I couldn't. Is that what it is?
Yeah, no, so it's as fuck.
It is, yeah. I was trying
I
to come
actually
up with
got
something nice out of it, but I just couldn't find anything.
no, I actually got that well, because it's a palindrome, so you can read it front to backwards. And there's a little sample at the start of the song that says "faded as fuck is faded as fuck" backwards. And I think that's what it's saying, but most people can even hear it. And it's just like I think I saw it on like a meme or something, and I was just like, "That's funny. I'm just gonna put that in a song." Um,
That's great.
yeah, and I mean the song is kind of like it basically it just talks about the constant struggle that people have within themselves. People want to, lose weight, work out more, drink less, and work on their relationship, but then at the same time they want to eat cake and cookies and get on the piss and go see their ex. So it's like that balancing act that everyone's trying to do, and there is something romantic about doing the wrong thing a lot of times, and that's why people kind of gravitate towards that. But then it also causes a lot of pain, so they have to go back, and I feel like it's that constant war of trying to be a good person, trying to do the right things, and feeling like you fuck it up a lot of the times. And that's kind of what that song was about. And it's almost like, walking home drunk after a big night out, talking to yourself about everything. That's kind of what the song is.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have another listen back through it now after you've told me that, because I reckon it'll take on a whole different meaning. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, then we move on to Lost Cause.
Yeah, so Lost Cause is a really interesting one. It was probably like the song that took the longest to write. It went through so many different iterations. The song was written around the first version of the song was written around the same time as Heartstop, and then we ended up revisiting and revisiting it, and then we ended up doing a writing session with the vocalist from Sleep Token when we were in Wales, and kind of reinventing the song again. And it still didn't land for me until really like months after we had finished the last session ever on it, and then I kind of was able to see it from a different perspective. But I mean, I'd say now it's probably my second favorite to Alive on the record, and it went on a big long journey.
So you're trying to tell me you did a writing session with Sleep Token, and at the end of it, You told him it wasn't good enough.
No, no. Well, it was like
I was going to say champion.
no, I still wasn't like at that point. It was just there was elements of the song, you know, what was really good about what he did was he it would probably have never seen the light of day had
Yeah.
it been for we were working on some things in this writing session and he kind of gravitated towards that song was like the way that it sounds now was fully because he kind of sent it in that different direction. And it kind of at least made me be like, okay, we could do something with this. We could do something with this direction. Yeah. But it's still, you know, sometimes once you get a bit of a bad relationship with a song, it's very hard to bring yourself around, you know?
I love the way you describe these things, bro. It's awesome. Moving on to No Future.
So No Future was it was a song that was written during lockdown. And I think that it really just summed up the chaos of the world, my frustration with the way that people were acting, especially on the internet. I think that it became a place where people couldn't freely speak about their views and you know all of the internet chaos that we've seen that just tries to get everybody to think in one way and basically label anyone that doesn't think that way as a fucking criminal. And I just don't think that that's the right way to go about things. And at the same time I think that No Future, like there is this element of when all that was happening and there was all this chaos in the world, everything was very uncertain. And, you know, like everyone else was suddenly thrown into this place where they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know. And everyone was freaking out. And we were kind of like, we've been here for a minute, baby. Like, this is what we're used to. We're not afraid of uncertainty. And this does not even shake us at all. And I think that, yeah, it kind of sums up that period and also just sums up how we as a band and as people are always willing to face challenges. And, you know, even if the worst happens, we're all going to die one day. And there's no point freaking out about things. You just got to press on and do what you can to keep following your dreams and keep trying to make shit work.
Shit on. Okay, and it finishes off with self-help.
So the idea behind self-help, it was basically a conversation with myself in the future. You know, as you're pursuing any endeavor that takes a lot of work and effort, especially something that requires you to put yourself out there and um and kind of be very vulnerable, you can have a lot of doubts and you can feel like, man, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I'm wasting my time. Why am I doing this? And it was the idea of being like, if I could call myself in 30 years and ask a few questions and be like, well, what ends up happening? Do we make it out of this situation or do we end up homeless and downtrodden? And what ends up happening? And that's the idea of the song. I think through writing the song, it kind of found its own resolve in the fact that, you know, you're not going to get those answers. We're not going to get that an absolute, you know, safety net about what happens in this life. So we just have to press on and we just have to enrich our relationships and lean into the things that we love and find some sort of peace in the journey. And that kind of sums up the whole EP, all the questions that are being asked on these songs, all the chaos, all of the angst that's there. It kind of resolves at the end of self-help by just being like, don't quit, motherfucker, just keep going.
Fuck yes, that's awesome, bro. So by my reckoning, that's 2 EPs in the first half of this year. So is it going to be a third and a fourth in the second half, or are you done?
We'll have to wait and see. All I can say is we're not going to stop releasing music until this shit pops. Like we're just going to keep the pedal to the ground. And you know, I feel like in this day and age, that's what you've got to do. If you want to make something work, you can't just. It's not how it used to be. And people's attention spans are short. So you got to make sure that you can capture that attention as much as you possibly can. And you know, the more times you roll the dice, the higher your chances are of winning. And that's what we're trying
Don't
to
say
do.
that to a gambler.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You just finished over 2 years non-stop touring with shows in New Zealand, Australia, mate. Like that's a lot of time on the road, but good to finish it at home.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. Like, I mean, the New Zealand shows were so special to us because we had like New Zealand is a hard market to crack, and it takes a bit of time to get those fans coming out to shows, especially in a smaller scene. And to be able to come here and do the size of shows and get that response here, man, it was pretty beautiful. And obviously going back around the Oz circuit and playing the biggest venues we've ever played as a headliner, it was definitely it was motivating to come into this next writing phase to be like, right, we can do this. We just need to keep at it.
Yeah, and you're going to put your feet up and rest for a bit, bro? Take it easy, or are you straight back out there doing something else?
No chance, no chance. No, we're like we'll have some more tours to announce this year, but I think this year is going to be a massive focus on writing and developing a few areas of the business side of the band, and I think that we want to hit the ground running in 2025 and have a massive year and just pretty much play shows nonstop. But to do that, we've got to get this music banked. So at the moment, I've committed to 100 days of writing in New
Nice.
Zealand, which I'm about 2 weeks into now.
There you
And
go.
yeah, exactly. So, we're going to stay focused and try and write some stuff that we're really happy with for the next chapter, and then go out and tour these EPs and whatever else we have coming next.
Sensational. Well, in the meantime, A Muse is out June 28th, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people now listening to it with a different perspective, bro. So well done and best of luck with it. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you so much. You have a good one, yeah.